Hello, this is Mark Walton for GameSpot. I'm here once again with Cam Robinson.
I'm always here.
Well, you're always here. Except this time we are in the halls of the Messe, where we just went to visit Square Enix.
We saw a new game from Don't Nod Studios, who are the guys who made Remember Me, if you remember that. So, what was the game we saw?
We saw Life is Strange, which is a new episodical adventure game. So it's in the sort of in the same vein as sort of The Walking Dead and games like that.
All those Telltale games.
Yeah, the Telltale stuff. So essentially, it's an adventure game, but instead of being based like on very complicated puzzles, it's based on character development and story.
And story and this mystery, because basically it takes place in this town, and you play this lead character Max, who returns from moving away. She comes back to their town as a teenager and reunited with her best friend, who's changed completely. You know, I think her dad has died, so she's had a really traumatic time. So she's now this rebel, but she's also convinced that her other best friend has now disappeared. And I think it looks like you're going to help her try and track down this missing best friend.
So it's sort of like maybe a murder mystery,
potential murder mystery, kidnapping mystery, maybe.
Kidnapping.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously with a lot of these games, what's important about them is the character development, the story, and particularly the voice acting. You know, it's got to be really good. And certainly, it's in the early stages, this game so far. But you weren't too convinced with the voice acting, were you?
So, I mean, we've only seen one scene, so you can't read into a whole game based on that. But from what I did see, I wasn't fully convinced by the kind of believability of the dialogue. It felt a little bit try-hard maybe, but then, I don't know, I was never a teenage girl, so I don't really know.
Sure. But one of the best things about the game, I suppose, was the unique twist that they had, which was her ability to rewind time, right?
Yes.
And they used this in a bunch of the sort of simpler puzzles in the game. So one of them was that you went to the cupboard and you pulled out a box. The box fell down, and this big glass sort of
snow globe, right?
just sort of broke. And you were like, oh no, and then Chloe's really upset, and then you're like,
damn right, you broke her snow globe.
Yeah, right, so what do? Well, you rewind time, and it lets you choose another option. And that goes through everything, so like from dialogue trees to like interactions with objects, all of them will have repercussions along the line. But if you don't like what the repercussion was of that choice you just made, you can rewind time and do it. Or you can see all the dialogue trees.
And that's what's interesting to me, actually, is you can, because in these games normally you make a choice and then you might wonder, God, I wonder what would have happened if I did the other choice. And then you go back and you replay the game maybe to find that out if you love the game that much. In this game you won't have to, because you can rewind at any point and basically sample all the different choices and then choose your favorite one, which in one hand is really quite interesting. But the developers have been like, hey, feel free to choose. On the other side, it kind of feels a bit like cheating to me in a way, but it's an interesting way to do it.
Sort of. I think it's just a way to, you know, a different way of exploring the game.
It's kind of acknowledging that that's kind of what everyone wants to do, is find out what the options are. And the time mechanic gives you a way of doing that without some sort of magic cheat button, I guess.
Absolutely. So, I mean, other details about this title, it looks very cool. It's got a sort of unique sort of cel-shaded, painted sort of
reminds
thing.
me of Dishonored. So Dishonored is the same, all the textures were hand-painted. This has done the same thing, so that's interesting. Yep,
so it's looking quite pretty. Other things, it's coming pretty much to every platform. So we got PC, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4, PS3. And it's episodic, so there's going to be a season pass where you'll be able to download, basically buy all the episodes at once, so you'll be able to buy them individually. No pricing as of yet, but certainly...
No, and they haven't got exact dates or anything, but they do say they'd like to have them like regular intervals, probably monthly releases after the initial release point.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting departure for the studio. Hopefully we'll get to see more of it over the coming months. In the meantime, if you want more from Gamescom, just head over to GameSpot.com.